I have dyslexia.
I have dyscalculia.
Ich habe Dyslexie.
I have ADD.
Ich habe eine Lernbehinderung.
ADHD.
I have short-term memory loss.
I have dyslexia.
I have dysgraphia.
I have a learning disability.
44% of parents who noticed their children exhibiting signs of difficulty with learning waited a year or more before acknowledging their child might have a serious problem. Kids with dyslexia, ADHD, and other learning disabilities are as intelligent as others and often have great strengths, but they learn differently. It is unfortunate that we are stuck with the term learning disability when, in fact, LD kids are at least as intelligent as most of their peers. Kids with learning disabilities simply process certain types of information differently than others do.
In resource room, do you have a certain method of teaching kids with their different disabilities or difficulties?
I think that every student, every person learns differently. You know, everyone has the style that they learn best by, and sometimes that's the style that a classroom teacher has, and sometimes it's a different style. And so for me, what I try to do is assess what the best method is for that particular student. But I think it really starts with study habits, and I think that one of the most important things that any student can learn is good study habits.
Myth: people with learning disabilities are stupid or a little less intelligent than their peers.
Fact: learning disabilities are differences in how a person's brain receives, processes, and puts out information. Learning disabilities are not an indicator of an individual's intelligence.
For they had thought her dead long since. But she told them how happy she was, and stayed till the feast was over.
Myth: people with learning disabilities are lazy.
Fact: people with learning disabilities may make the same mistakes dozens of times. These issues are related to the way in which their brains process information.
Stand many rods. Number them, and when thou...
Dyslexia is a learning disability that affects your reading ability and your comprehension ability. For festivals, they make rice beer for...
This is Amelia. She's a freshman in Frank Sinatra School of the Arts. She was also diagnosed with dyslexia in the 8th grade.
Like before I was diagnosed, I just thought it was normal to feel that way. Like when I was diagnosed with it, I think it made like a lot more sense, but then it made me like more emotional about it because I didn't know it wasn't normal, and then it kind of made me like feel like weird because I was different. Like, that year was like a really hard year for me. Well, on a daily basis, I mean, I think it affects me a lot, and I get like really emotional. I think like whenever I read stuff, I like always like end up crying before I actually finish like a chapter.
You know, IEP just stands for Individualized Educational Plan. So it's a plan that is individualized for a particular student in the way that they learn best, you know, and what their strengths and their weaknesses are. And, you know, it's important that we as teachers know that about all of our kids.
When I first got diagnosed, someone at school came up to me and like told me that I didn't have it because I like had like good grades, and they just didn't believe it. Just because you have learning disability doesn't mean you're not as intelligent as other people.
I have dyslexia.
I have dyscalculia.
Ich habe Dyslexie.
I have ADD.
Ich habe eine Lernbehinderung.
ADHD.
I have short-term memory loss.
I have dyslexia.
I have dysgraphia.
I have a learning disability.